What's up, y'all? You're listening to the Extra Point College Football Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jacob Carnes, joined as always by my co-host, Daniel Hammock. Daniel, I listened to our last episode, and I've realized in my cadence, I've always said host and then co-host, and I'm like, that sounds weird. So I didn't forget this time, and I changed my cadence, co-host and co-host, just like co-manager and co-manager. Shout out to The Office.
So in this scenario, am I Jim or am I Michael?
I think we should let the viewers decide.
let the viewers decide. I'm more big picture, and you're more you're more day to day.
Senior co-manager.
Yeah.
This is Jim, junior co-manager in training. Trained, good at it, loving it. Sorry if you're not an Office fan. That it meant nothing to you.
If there was a way I could be Daryl, I'd be down. But you know.
Oh, 1,000%.
Anyways.
Well, we got a loaded week 7 in college football, and week 7 is only a little bit sad because it means we've hit the peak of the regular season. So it goes downhill from here, but that means we can celebrate the great half season we've had. We do have a full half season to go. And this week is the second time in college football history, where we have 3 different matchups of 5-0 teams. And we are talking about all 3 of those matchups on the podcast. So actually the first 3 games we're going to talk about. So we're going to hit Michigan, Penn State, Alabama, Tennessee, TCU, Oklahoma State, Florida, LSU, Clemson, Florida State, Mississippi State, Kentucky, and USC. Daniel, what's a game that we're not hitting that you're excited to watch this weekend?
I think anytime you get just a matchup of, good, I guess, Power 5 teams that you just never see play each other. I'm interested to see Arkansas and BYU. I think it's going to be a sneaky good game. And I think that, it'll be good to kind of just measure those two against each other. Like Arkansas, they've been beat up a little bit this year, but, most people are going to go to bat for them and they love Sam Pittman. But BYU is just this team that's able to kind of, year to year, just put out a good squad. So this year they've looked strong at times. They had a tough time with Oregon. What are they? I think this is a very evenly matched game. So that's one I'm excited to watch.
That was definitely my number one. That line's in like 1.5 right now in Arkansas's favor. Is KJ Jefferson playing? I think that swings it. I think Arkansas could be a 3-point or more favorite if KJ's playing. I think that's kind of splitting the difference if KJ's playing or not. I'll say NC State, Syracuse. Syracuse 5-0, which is shocking. That's a team that at the halfway point, I can say I was extremely wrong about coming into the season. They are what Virginia was like the last couple of years with how fun that offense is. So, Garrett Schrader's been tearing it up at Syracuse, but NC State, Syracuse, a 3.5-point favorite against NC State. We're not talking about it, but Daniel, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that is my WTF game of the week. So I like NC State in that matchup. I think NC State should be favored by 1.5 to 2.
Is Devin Leary playing?
He said he's playing.
Okay.
We'll see.
I know that had means to factor in a little bit because it was looking like he might not play. So,
so caveat, if he plays, I think WTF game, wrong team favored. So we'll see. Excited to watch that one. We have some big games to talk about, so I don't want to waste any time. Let's dive right in. First, a top 10 matchup, Michigan, Penn State in the Big House. Both teams undefeated coming in. Michigan right now sitting at a 6.5-point favorite, so just under a touchdown at home. Where are you going in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, this one I think is just it's exactly what we need at this time of year. We need to start sizing up these Big Ten East schools that have just been looking like powerhouses, honestly. Big Ten swinging the big stick, going down to Auburn, a few weeks back. And they've just looked like a solid team all year. And Michigan has looked the same. They have cruised. Last week, I thought Michigan played a very controlled game. And, it looks like these two are kind of getting each other at the right time. They're both kind of gaining their identities as they grow. The 6.5 point spread for me with Michigan at home, I was like, all right, that's right on the money, because I do think the Michigan's the better team. And I do think Michigan comes away with the win, but I mean, Penn State, I think, is going to give them everything that they've got. I don't think Michigan wins by a touchdown. So I am taking Penn State in the points. I think they come in there and they might even, this is a buzzword I used to say a lot, but
they
might even have a lead in the second half. I think there's a second half lead in Penn State, and I think that it's more of like a 3-point win or so for Michigan, where they're going to have to really battle and really, this is a game where they're going to have to prove their depth. They're going to have to prove that 1 through 85, they're as good as, it is in the Big Ten. Well, let's just say the Big Ten East. We can eliminate the West altogether. As good as it is in the Big Ten East, 1 through 85. So Michigan, I think that they're going to be able to prove it on Saturday, but they're going to have to give it everything they got against a very quality opponent in Penn State. So give me the Nittany Lions plus 6.5.
Love it. That was a deep cut for the OG listeners.
Yeah.
So love that. Excuse me. I apologize.
Wake up, Jacob. This slate is loaded.
I know. Man, Braves made me exhausted. So
yeah,
that was a tiring game.
It was a taxing game.
It was a taxing game. Daniel, I told you there's one of these games that we do some separate picks on the side that was going on my, you can basically pick 10 games from any of the games going on this week. Pick your 10 most confident games. This game is one of my 10 most confident picks, and that is Michigan minus 6.5. Lay the points. I think this point spread's about 4 points too small. So Michigan, Penn State, I agree with you. I think this is 2 top 10 teams even. I just think Michigan is almost on. I think there's a tier 2 beginning to separate itself, and I think Michigan's going to show that this week. So we've talked about there being a tier 1 of Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia, kind of separating themselves from the rest of the pack. I think there's a little bit of a tier 2, and we're actually talking about a couple more of the teams on the game. So Michigan, the biggest mismatch I see in this game is like, one, Michigan has, this is not the mismatch. Michigan has a very efficient offense, but Penn State has a very efficient defense. Now, one thing Michigan has done very well is they have scored when they get scoring opportunities. When they're crossing the 40, they're turning those into touchdowns. And so they're a very, very efficient offense. And I think that's going to get them a lot of points against Penn State. So I think they're scoring 35. And I don't know if Penn State, I think the mismatch is Penn State's offense against Michigan's defense. This is a top 10 defense against the pass and the rush. And as good as Singletary's been, they're still 100th in the country in EPA per rush. Penn State is, and Michigan ranks 7th in that category. This is a team that has the number 7 defensive success rate in the country, going up against a team that has the 81st offensive success rate in the country. So while Penn State, I think, has a good enough offense to beat probably win 10 games on that schedule, Michigan's not one of them in the Big House. I think that's a mismatch, and that's where I think the crowd swings this 3 more points at even the spread. So I'm laying the points in Michigan. I think this is a 10-point win by Michigan. So I think we're about 3 points short on the line here. I like Michigan. I like this team. And I don't think that means Penn State is, don't drop in the rankings or anything. I think Penn State's a very good team. I just think this is Michigan kind of separating a tier 2 in college football. Penn State being like top of that tier 3. So I like Penn State. I'll lay the points. That's the first of our, undefeated matchups. Let's go to our second one, Daniel. Knoxville, Tennessee. We thought this might happen preseason. We thought, hey, what if Tennessee's undefeated when Alabama comes to town? We were a lot more confident Alabama could be undefeated walking into this game. But here we are, undefeated Alabama, undefeated Tennessee. Tennessee coming off of a big win against LSU last week in Death Valley. Alabama coming off of an exciting win against Texas A&M. Alabama, make sure I have the line right, 7.5-point favorites in Knoxville. Where are you going in Knoxville?
Just a phenomenal line. Like 7.5. If this is under 7, I mean, it's a slam dunk Alabama. But you're talking about a game of, I think, whoever holds serve on the scores back and forth is going to be kind of sitting in the driver's seat. Whoever can steal a possession, whether that's like the end of the first half, whoever gets the first, whoever receives the second half kickoff, that kind of a game, because it'll be definitely a game of big explosive plays. I know Alabama has a much better defense than Tennessee. Tennessee is what like 87th ranked defense as far as so it's they give a lot of explosive plays up. Alabama, I think they're top 10. I think they're number 6, if I'm not mistaken, in total defense. But just giving up explosive plays, they've been able to limit those for the most part. That's really what's kept them, in these games when their offense hasn't been, what it needs to be. I'm concerned, obviously, if Bryce Young doesn't play. If Bryce Young plays, I think it's going to be just big play after big play on the Alabama offensive side. But I just don't have a ton of confidence yet that Alabama is going to be able to stop Tennessee on a consistent basis. I've gone back and forth. I really want to do the hot thing and take Tennessee because they're at home and they have more than a touchdown of points. I really feel like a strong connection to that. But I'm going to trust the defense to get that extra possession, to hold them, at bay. I'm going to take Alabama because this is just a single digit line. I think Alabama covers. I think they win the game. I think that both teams are going to have explosive plays. I just think I can see this one playing out similarly to the Arkansas game, where it's close a couple of different times in the game, and then Alabama just kind of wears on them over the course of the game, and it's just too much at the end for Tennessee. But I really did labor with this one a lot because I really respect what Tennessee's done thus far. Josh Heupel, that offense is phenomenal, and I think they're just so efficient. But all that being said, give me Alabama, lay the 7.5.
This is a principal play. You're telling me Alabama, in a rivalry that they have not lost since Nick Saban got there.
Before Twitter was invented, before Instagram was invented, before you could upload on YouTube.
You're going to spot me single digits? You're going to give me Nick Saban in single digits against Tennessee? Lay the points. This is a principal play. Nick Saban acts like he doesn't look at this stuff and doesn't read it. He knows what this spread is, and he smiled when he saw it. This whole team is going to know what the spread is on the road. Now I will say this is caveat. Bryce Young plays. If he doesn't play, I think Tennessee covers. I still think Alabama wins if Bryce Young doesn't play. I think they figure out how to perfect that offense after the scare last week of catering it more to Milroe, running the ball really, really well, which I think is how I still think if Bryce plays, I better see Jahmyr Gibbs have 25 carries.
He's got to touch the ball, a ton because you add in his targets and everything like that. He's just way too dynamic of a weapon for you to not be utilizing him.
And to wear them down all game.
Right.
That's to make them tired in the fourth quarter where you're up 3 and then you're up 10 in the fourth quarter. So I think he's the kind of difference maker that will separate Alabama from Tennessee. Alabama does have a very good defense. I do think as quickly as Tennessee gets the ball out, where I think it can hurt them is if they do get down in this game, I think you start taking more shots, right? Which means you're taking longer to throw the ball. You're waiting on routes to get open. And that's where that Bama pass rush. I mean, Will Anderson had by himself 12 quarterback hurries last week, a personal record for himself. That's what this pass rush can send for and get pressure 9 times out of 10. It is scary, scary good. I think that, along with Alabama's run game, is the difference in this game. Caveat that Bryce Young plays, lay the 7.5. Single digits with Alabama, I'll take that every time. All right, so you and I both laying the points with Alabama. All right, our last undefeated matchup, Oklahoma State, TCU. Both teams coming off of big wins. TCU coming off of that win against Kansas last week. TCU hosting the Cowboys as 3.5-point favorites. Where are you going in Fort Worth?
This one's tough because I do think Oklahoma State has been in this spot before, whereas TCU kind of, it's been a while since they've been in this role of maybe the pole position of the Big 12, because the winner of this is going to be, basically on a beeline for that, one of the spots of the Big 12 championship. So I like TCU to win the game, and I was trying to think about how I feel this game going. I think Spencer Sanders is going to have some turnovers in the game, and I think that it's not going to make a difference in that. I think they're going to score a bunch of points still. I think Oklahoma State's still going to score a bunch, but I think TCU is just going to have an even bigger day. Max Duggan's going to have big day in the air and on the ground. I'm gonna go TCU lay the 3.5.
This is a principal play. It's time for Oklahoma State's reckoning. It's time. I've been circling this week. You can't get past this week. Here it is. This is a 10-point game at least. Oklahoma State's defense coming into the season ranked 128th in returning production. They lost their defensive coordinator. Now, Derek Mason's done a great job, but we've seen the immediate impact that he's had on Ohio State. Oklahoma's defense this year has proven they are not as good as they were last year. This is a team that ranks 88th in defensive EPA. They rank 100th in EPA per pass, 52nd in EPA per rush allowed. They're letting teams cross the 40 and score on those opportunities. They are 98th in the country and allowing teams to score touchdowns on scoring drives. And the reckoning has come finally. TCU lay the points. And one thing Oklahoma State has benefited from is field position. Like, they have had incredible field position to start drives, and part of that is special teams. One thing that can negate that is an explosive offense. Like, it doesn't matter where they start because of how explosive they are. So lay the points with TCU. This one's easy. Principal play of fading Oklahoma State. Was there any doubt I was going to pick against Oklahoma State?
I almost called this the Jacob Carnes lock of the week. And
you know what? This is the Jacob Carnes lock of the week. Screw it. TCU lay the points. All right, let's go to. I was going to say too. I'll bring out an actual stat. Last week, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. Texas Tech ran 104 plays. 104 plays. That defense was on the field for 104 plays. That's about 30 more plays than average. So I think that will take a toll, especially against a team with an offense like TCU. So if you want a little stat to help back you up there, 104 plays last week, keep an eye on that. That defense could be tired. All right. We're going to Gainesville, Florida. So the last time Florida hosted LSU, man, did we get a good game. In fact, I found our graphic the other day. We had said a foggy night in Gainesville. And man, some great camera angles, an incredible ending.
Cade York with the dagger from we don't even know where because the fog.
That's right. We don't even know what yard line he was on.
He didn't even know he made it because of how much fog there was. The shoe toss from around the world.
Incredible. So Florida coming in as a 2.5-point favorite. Where are you going in Gainesville?
Yeah, this one is extremely interesting. They're both 4-2. If this is in Baton Rouge, in Death Valley, LSU's favored. If it's in Gainesville, Florida's favored. I think this is right on the money as far as what to expect. I think that it's funny because I feel like, well, no, I'm not going to go there. I was going to say if you swapped quarterbacks, this would be a landslide on LSU's side because that's what they're basically missing is a competent quarterback, but I don't necessarily want to put that on Anthony Richardson at this point. He's still very raw, still a lot of potential, still needs to be developed. So, the more I look at this one, the more I think that my 10-2 LSU is taking a little hit. They're 4-2 right now. I need 6 straight wins to be right. Well, Jacob, I'm not gonna, quit now. LSU's gonna
Double
win. So
down, double down.
since they're gonna win, I might as well take these 2.5 points I'm being given. But on the real, I do think that defensively they've shown some improvement. Um, offensively, it's just nothing has clicked 100% yet, but I do think Brian Kelly is learning his team, and you're just going to see a buttoned up team by season's end because he's going to know exactly what he talked about this in the post game press conference about how, there's certain things that they can do to help their protection, different things like that, like 7-man protection. There's a lot of little parts that they haven't been adding to it yet because they've wanted to see kind of what they have. And I think that, you learn a lot more in losses than you do wins. And in the 2 losses, I think that they've learned a ton about their team. So I'll be interested to see how this game plays out. This one's always one of the more fun rivalries to watch. This is historically just 2 very even organizations, even, programs. So interested to see how these 2 play out in Gainesville. But, I really do think that LSU is going to win this game. I think there's just too much talent on that side, on both sides of the ball for them not to win. And if I'm given a coaching edge, I'm going to give it to Brian Kelly, who's just done it at the Power 5 level for years and years versus, Billy Napier, who has done it at the Group of 5 level, and he's kind of wading into this, SEC lifestyle. So give me LSU plus the 2.5.
I was gonna pick Florida out of principle of just like going ahead and killing 10-2 LSU this week, just like letting it die in week 7. But I can't, Daniel. I
Give me a
can't
few
pick
more
against
weeks.
LSU in this spot. Yeah, I'll give you a couple more weeks. So I'm taking LSU plus the points. When I ran some numbers, Daniel, I got like Florida -1. So I think this is a very evenly matched game. So then I'll look for mismatches. And the mismatch I see on the field is LSU's rush offense against Florida's rush defense. So I think that they've got to have more design runs with Jaden Daniels and not where he's just looking at a read and taking off. He's
Right.
settled in some more, but this offense opens up and it helps him out throwing the ball when he's given the chance to run and you're running John Emery Jr., you're running behind this offensive line. They've gotten some momentum in the past couple of weeks. I think also the result last week against Tennessee, and you watch Florida play Tennessee close, I think that's going to factor into this line here of recency bias of what we saw. But you got to think, Daniel, that game was 14-0 before you blinked because of 2 special teams errors. And I do think Tennessee dominated that game after that, but LSU was also forced to not play a strong running game from the jump because you're down 14-0. And so
Right.
I think we see a return of LSU running the ball early in this game, early and often, shortening the game here. I think that's a mismatch against Florida's rush defense. Florida ranks 118th in the country in EPA per rush given up when their defense is on the field, and LSU is a top 25 rush offense in the country. So I think that's the mismatch in this game. Again, it's only 2.5 points. I think LSU can win, and so I'll go ahead and take the free points. Not going to quite go wrong team favored, but I will go ahead and take the points with LSU against Florida in the Swamp. All right. Our next game, we're going to Tallahassee. So when I saw this line, Daniel, I was like, really? And it made me scared to death to pick a side in this game. So Clemson comes to town as a 3.5 point favorite in Tallahassee. It seems too easy, Daniel.
Yeah.
Where are you going to Tallahassee?
Well, here's the thing. It is too easy. I'm not going to fall victim to overthinking this. I watch college football. I know what's going to happen. I think that Florida State is a good team and has gotten better, and their floor has been raised by Mike Norvell. I think the sky is going to be the limit as they keep growing. I think that they've gotten a couple really good wins already this year, and I think they aren't done winning good games yet. Clemson is one of those teams that you were alluding to earlier with Michigan. on that next tier. And you've been pounding the drum for this all year, but it's their defense that gets them there, as far as being, in that conversation among that second tier of teams, among teams that can make the playoff. And I'm looking at this game. I think that their defense is gonna travel with them. They're gonna get off the bus. They're gonna come on there, and I think they're gonna give Florida State problems all day. I think Florida State. When Florida State scores in this game, it's going to be the exception, not the rule. It's going to be an anomaly. I see this game being somewhere in the 30s to like the teens. So I'm thinking like 35-17, 35-16 in favor of Clemson. I don't think that Clemson's going to have an easy day offensively. I think they're going to kind of have to, manufacture things. It might be a slow start, but I think they're going to keep getting opportunities because of the defense. And I think over the course of the game, you're just going to see Clemson kind of wear them down. Will Shipley will have a couple of scores. They might get a couple of short fields because of the defense and special teams. But give me Clemson, lay these points. I do think it's that easy. And it's based solely on, I think that Florida State's going to have a very tough time scoring on Clemson this week.
So you and I were pretty early on Mike Norvell saying like, hey, we were early on Taggart saying he wasn't the guy.
We knew that was not going to work.
But bringing in Norvell, we were like, please give him time. Like he's
really
the right guy for the job.
Yeah.
He's a really good coach. He's a program builder. But you got to give him time because the end of the Jimbo tenure and Willie Taggart just kind of, literally ran Florida State into the ground. So that being said, I hope this game is a close game. I really, really do. I would love to see Florida State win this game in Tallahassee. I'm with you. 3.5 is way too easy. And I think this game is north of 10 points. Florida State Jordan Travis has done a phenomenal job. He is way better than I expected coming into the year, which played into us going over on Florida State's win total, which is looking great so far. I'm going to make it. Goodness, that's my second yawn. Anyway, but again, a really good rush offense. They're playing their best football when they're running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And good luck running the ball against this Clemson front. I just don't think they're going to make Florida State one-dimensional, and that's really not going to be good for Florida State. And so I do think this game is north of 10 points and 3.5. I'm going to hold my nose and say this is too easy and lay these points here.
Just don't watch this game, Jacob. Just go watch it after the fact.
Right.
If you're watching it during the game, you're going to feel sick to your stomach.
Because this atmosphere is going to be awesome. To take a page out of your book, Florida State might have a lead in the first half.
In the second half.
Yeah. So they might in this game. I hope so. I hope for a really good game. That's a great environment. I think college football is better when Florida State's good. And I want this game to be competitive. So I hope we're wrong. I hope we're sitting here in the fourth quarter with a tie game, like sweating over the 3.5 points. But I think it's north of 10. So I'll go ahead and lay the points.
I like when we're wrong on games that we both pick the same. That way I don't have to be, because if we pick differently and I'm wrong, that means that you're right and that you're getting a game on me. So
that's the worst.
That's the worst. And I'm sure the same way for you. You're sitting here last week with the whole Texas-Oklahoma thing. Meanwhile, for me, it was the whole Tennessee-LSU thing. We were on opposite sides. It's like mixed feelings. But
I'm
if
mad
we're
I
both
didn't
wrong
pick
about
Texas.
Clemson, I'm like, at least Jacob's not winning.
I'm really mad I didn't pick Texas. In my heart of hearts, I'm just like, you know what? No. Take your heart out of it, Jacob. Follow the numbers. This game's always a one-possession game. Idiot. Never again, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers has never played in that game before until Saturday.
That's true.
So
that's true. All right. Let's go back to the SEC, Daniel. Another ranked v. ranked matchup. We have Mississippi State going to Kentucky. The checkout line at Kroger Field. Where are you going in Lexington?
Yeah, so I've had a feeling for a while that I should start fading Kentucky. Now, I've been ignoring it. I feel like I should because Mississippi State's been playing really well. But this is at home. And Kentucky's getting 6.5. And I think Mark Stoops just got him right where he wants him. So I'm going to pick Kentucky with the 6.5 because I think Kentucky can win this game outright. And I'm going to run and hide because I think Mississippi State is and has proven to be the better team all year. I think that they deserve to be a touchdown favorite. I think they should win this game, Jacob. I have just watched too much college football over the course of my life. There's something that's going to happen in this game. Like you were saying, the last game smelled fishy to you. This one's a little fishier for me. And I feel better taking Mark Stoops in this spot because I think he's got his team motivated the right way. I'm not sure. I'm guessing Will Levis is going to be back. Anyways,
he is playing.
He's playing. Great. Even if he wasn't, if Lynn Bowden Jr. came back to play quarterback for them, I would still take Kentucky in this spot. It's a Mark Stoops play rather than an individual. I think that he's just in this spot ready to go. Like I said, he's got him right where he wants him. So, Leach is coming in there. They're going to do something to the field. It's just not going to be just right. Give me Kentucky.
You say they're going to sabotage the field.
I'm not saying they're going to sabotage anything. I don't think Kentucky's dirty in any way. I'm just saying that Leach is just not going to be – something's going to be off, and their offense is just not going to be so spry as it always is. So, I don't know. Something about those fans up there. We're getting close to basketball season. They're extra frisky. It just is what it is. You just got to watch out for them as you turn the calendar to October and then eventually November. It's like you just don't want to play up there.
Look, you said it. There's a reason that they're a 6.5-point favorite. Mississippi State ranks 16th in the country in offensive success rate. They rank 23rd in the country in defensive success rate. Net points per drive, they're 18th in the country. Like, they've just been super efficient on offense and defense. They're coming off a huge win against Arkansas. And that's why it's the perfect time to sell high and buy low. Yeah, Mike Leach is going to give you a stinker. He did it against LSU. Mississippi State is better than LSU on offense and defense.
Not.
And LSU spanked them.
Not even close.
And they are so much better. Like, I have rewatched that game and I still don't understand how LSU beat them. And that's exactly what's going to happen in this game. We're going to be sitting here going, how did Kentucky just beat them? And we're going to look up and Kentucky's going to win the game outright. So yeah, I'm taking the points. I'm taking a home dog with points, taking Kentucky. I know it's fishy. Here's the thing. I'm not a big Will Levis fan. I've been
same
loud about
the whole
that.
Mayo and coffee thing. Like, dude, move on with your life.
Overkill. The whole first round pick, I don't get. Like, here's the thing though. As much as I don't think he's that good, this offense is terrible without him. We saw how terrible the offense looked when he wasn't in there, and I'm like, all right, maybe he's not that bad.
There's something to this.
Maybe there's something to this. And him playing, I think, is the difference in this game. So I think Kentucky can win outright. It doesn't matter. I'm going to take the 6.5 points. I think this should be like a 3.5 point line. So I will take Kentucky. Yeah, this is a classic buy low on Kentucky and sell high with Mississippi State.
You can't bring the cowbells with you to Kroger Field, so
that's right. They're not going to make it past the checkout line, so those beepers are going to go off at Kroger Field. All right, last game. This is a big one, Daniel. Utah and USC. This is a game people circled preseason, so this will be USC's test. I thought USC would have a loss before now, but we finally get it, and Utah has 2 losses. USC is the one who comes in undefeated. But where are you going in Utah?
Yeah, this one's weird because USC, I mean, if you're going off of rankings, obviously they're undefeated and they're number 7. And they're a 3.5 point dog to a 2-loss Utah team. Utah has roughed them up in the past. This is going to be ultimate test for Lincoln Riley. I mean, in year 1. Personally, I didn't have expectations for USC in year 1. I was thinking, hey, year 2 is when I should really see something. But he's come in and he's raised my expectations for them. I think if USC is a real deal, they win this game. They get 3.5 points. I know they're on the road. That shouldn't matter. USC should be the class of the Pac-12 this year and until they leave for the Big Ten. So I'm taking USC. I'm taking those 3.5 points because I think they're the better team. I think they prove it on Saturday.
So you're taking USC plus the points?
Yeah.
You think
I think they win
outright?
outright. I'm just going to go ahead and get those 3.5 as a just in case situation.
I'm going to go ahead and say Vegas knows what they're doing here. Vegas, there's a reason Utah's lost 2 games and Utah's a 3-point favorite. The mismatch in this game is Utah's rush offense against USC's rush defense. USC ranks 124th in the country in EPA allowed per rush. They played Washington State a lot closer than that score was. Oregon State, they 100% should have lost that game. USC has had a ton of turnover luck. Eventually it's going to catch up with them. And I've been very impressed. USC has overachieved in year 1 already in my book. I don't think they're ready to beat a team like Utah on the road in this spot yet. Hats off to them if they do, but I will take Utah to win. I will take Utah to cover in this game. I think Utah wins this game by a touchdown. So I do think this is a good line here, but they've played too many close-ish games when you watch them. I think they've broken up a couple games late, but I think against a team as well coached as Utah is going to be, Utah is ready for the spot. So I'll take Utah. I will lay the points. All right, to review, Daniel, you are on Penn State. I am on Michigan. We are both on Alabama. We're both on TCU?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. Yeah. We're both on LSU.
That's right.
We are both on Clemson.
That's right.
We're
both on
Kentucky. Okay, so there's only 2 games we're going up against each other, and then you're on
the first
USC,
ones and the last ones. Yep.
And I am on Utah. So we'll have a nice noon battle to see if we get some separation, and then nice little 8 p.m.er to close it out. But
I don't feel great about any of these, by the way.
No, I feel great about one. I feel great about Michigan, so I guess that's a good thing.
I guess I feel great about Clemson. That's literally it.
I'm with you.
The rest of it, I'm like, I mean, I think this is what's going to happen. We'll see.
We'll see. A great Saturday to sit down and watch and enjoy.
Absolutely.
So be sure to follow the podcast on social media at the Extra Point Pod on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow him on Twitter at Deep South Daniel. You can follow me on Twitter at Jacob Carnes with a K. That will do it for this edition of the Extra Point. He is Daniel. I am Jacob. See you.